July 17, 2018 meeting of the City Council of the City of Springfield, Illinois is called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Will do.
I was all confused.
Alderman Redpath.
Here.
Alderman Senor.
Here.
Alderwoman Turner.
Here.
Alderman Fulgenzi.
Here.
Alderman Proctor.
Here.
Alderwoman DeCenso.
Present.
Alderman McMinimum.
Here.
Alderman Tylen.
Here.
Alderman Donnellan.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mayor Langfelder.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, a quorum is present.
Thank you. We do have a proclamation to present to IBEW, and Chad Basic would
Did you do that?
come forward for that. And we're off a week with regards to this presentation because of the anniversary that it represents. But it's important that we recognize our public employees for the job they do each and every day for us, especially with the linemen and the dangerous position that they're put forward. So the proclamation reads, whereas cities across our nation take one day every year to express our utmost appreciation to electrical line workers and celebrate these men and women who work so hard for us every day, showing dedication and innovation with their skill. And whereas Mr. Henry Miller established what is now readily known as the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW, after recognizing the frequency of injuries and deaths inside the trade and the need for training to protect the workers. And whereas Mr. Miller's passionate intention had not yet come to fruition when he fell to his death after electrocution on July 10, 1896, and whereas over a century later, the City of Springfield's public utilities, City Water, Light, and Power, employs 59 line workers who cover 66.37 square miles of jurisdiction, along with monitoring and maintaining over 1,089 miles of high-voltage lines spread across more than 38,000 utility poles. And whereas despite changes in equipment, training, and safety precautions, there have been 59 fallen workers across 17 unions to date. And IBEW alone has lost an astounding 27 workers, including 2 of CWLP's own, Mr. David Epauletti and Mr. John Irwin, who perished a mere 3 weeks apart in 1988. And whereas line workers, as a requirement of their trade, take measured yet very dangerous risks day in and day out to provide service to our community, often as the first feet on the ground after storms and catastrophes, not only here but across the region. And whereas we recognize all line workers, both past and present, for their willingness to do difficult but rewarding tasks, ensuring our residents have light in the darkness, warmth on the coldest days and nights, and are kept cool on the hottest days. They often go unrecognized, but today we thank you for your heading out in the most inclement weather to ensure our lives are not disrupted. Now, therefore, I, James O. Langfelder, Mayor of the City of Springfield, Illinois, together with the City Council and residents of our great community, do hereby proclaim that July 10th, 2018 shall be Line Workers Appreciation Day in the City of Springfield, and we appreciate all the good works you do to make our lives comfortable. Thank you, sir.
I just want to thank the City of Springfield, the Mayor, and the City Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mayor, I'd just like to say, Mayor, if I could, my brother was a lineman for 25 years. He, in the 1970s, he was in an ungrounded bucket truck and was pulled into high power lines. He took 12,500 volts twice. He lost part of his leg, half of his hip, and ended up dying of cancer about 10 years later. So it's a dangerous job, and we appreciate the IBEW. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mayor, I'd also like to point out that with the linesmen, they cross back and forth when the communities are in need. When the tornadoes hit us, we had crews come in from at least a dozen different other areas that came in and helped, and we've sent people. What's the farthest away we've gone, John?
Florida.
New York and Florida, we've sent our people to help in other communities. It's a big fraternity. It's something where we care about each other's families, we care about each other's communities, and we help out when needed. God forbid that anything like that happens. So you guys put your lives on the line, not just for us, but for everyone else too.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to recognize Eric Berglund. He's the new Executive Director for the Land of Lincoln Economic Development Corporation. Josh Collins is with him. Josh was with the Chamber and is now part of that as well. But if you'd like to come forward, Eric. And Eric comes from Florida, as a matter of fact, and he was the Southwest Florida Economic Development Alliance member there. And so if you'd give us a little background about yourself and introduce yourself to the council and the citizens of Springfield, we'd appreciate it.
Sure, absolutely. I'm delighted to be here in Springfield. I kind of joke that it's been, I think now, 17 working hours on the job, and I seem to have been all over the county and the city, so it's a great place to be, and I'm really excited for this community. Every time I visited on interviews, I fell more and more in love with Springfield. And it kind of feels like home already, and I'm glad to be able to help other people learn about what we have to offer here. Grew up in Colorado most of my life, had a chance to go down to Southwest Florida. To be honest, I missed the seasons, so I'm excited to be here. Fortunately, I can still go visit down there every once in a while because we do have a great direct flight from our airport down to that area. And I would encourage anybody in Florida that's watching to take the flight the other direction and come visit us here in Springfield. But I'm excited to be a part of the community and the Land of Lincoln Economic Development Corporation, and thank you all for your support of our efforts. I know it takes a lot of trust right now, and this time it is different than what we've done before. I think you've seen that both from your partnership, the county's partnership, and the business community. We're going to dust off all those old reports we've had for decades, and we're going to have a different approach. So thank you very much, and I really appreciate the time to be introduced, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Any questions or comments? Alderman Hanauer?
My only advice is don't let Josh be your scheduler. As the mayor and I know from a D.C. trip, he keeps it pretty tight. So you won't even have time to go to the bathroom if he's running your schedule.
Thanks for letting me know that. I've been warned about Josh a few times. So
I got 10 more stories, but we'll just forget about that.
well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. At this point, I'd like to recognize Roger Holmes to give the Inspector General report.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Corporation Council. I'm here with my second quarter 2018 report, and glad to tell you it will be very brief. I concluded 2 matters during the quarter. I do have several ongoing matters that I'm handling. So starting with 2018 OIG 6, there was a request from the mayor about an issue where TIF funds were used for purchase of a downtown building by 521 East LLC, and after that building was purchased with the TIF funds, apparently the union raised the question whether or not some solar panels were installed with prevailing wage. I have sought the answer to that within the 4 corners of the TIF contract that was signed back on May 16th, 2017, and it is clear from multiple references in that contract that the $120,000 in TIF money was used solely for the acquisition of the building, and that none of the funds were used for any construction or renovation. So, in my opinion, under the contract that I reviewed, prevailing wage section wouldn't kick in because it was for purchase only. My recommendation is that if that's not the intent of this body, that you might want to revisit that contract. If it is the intent of the body, then the contract should stand as is. My second report is in 2018 OIG 7. I received an anonymous letter regarding the Springfield Community Relations Office raising complaints about the office, its director, Juan Huerta, and 3 employees. The letter was anonymous, so I had no ability to ask further questions of complainant, but I did have a face-to-face meeting with Director Huerta, who was fully cooperative and forthcoming in assisting me to resolve the questions put forth. It is notable that there were 4 employees due to budget cuts. At about the time this letter was received, 1 employee was put on half-time and chose to leave the department. Briefly, I'll go through a few of the complaints. First is that the work environment was not properly cleaned or disinfected because the department hired Hope School to do cleaning. Director Huerta responded that the Hope School students were performing admirably and that the employment of those students was within the spirit and mission of the Office of Community Relations. The second one, and I can only go by what was in the complaint, was that Mr. Huerta got to take many unexplained overseas trips because he is the mayor's brother. I questioned Mr. Huerta and Mayor Langfelder, and they assured me that while they had great mutual respect, that they were not, in fact, brothers in the traditional sense. Mr. Huerta also denied that he had taken multiple trips out of the country, and that any trips he had taken, he accounted for. Third complaint was singled out a specific employee, saying that he'd been working with a very mentally ill person who this person took exception with, and that he took her to doctor's appointments and to meet with agencies, and also that many ex-felons were clients of the Department of Community Relations. As Mr. Director Huerta explained, these are the very missions of his office, and it's a clear indication that the department is fulfilling its mandate. Some brief other less important issues. In total, Mr. Huerta fully answered my questions to my satisfaction, and in fact, I think that his agency with his small staff of 3 employees should be commended for the wide range of services that they're providing to our community. I had 2 conflicts due to other attorneys in my office, and turned those over to my colleague, Judge Mielek, and we'll turn it over to him.
Yeah, while he comes up, Juan Huerta, I think most council members know, he's from Panama, and his trips, if he takes any, are personal nature. His family still lives there, so he is a citizen of the United States, came over when he was 16, but those are his trips overseas with regards to his ailing mother and visiting his family, all personal.
Mayor, council members. I had 2 cases, 9 and 10. In number 9, a complainant contacted me by phone and also by email, had various complaints regarding the police, regarding various employees, public officials. I looked into the matter, interviewed police, reviewed reports, and he also had complaints against the Internal Affairs Department investigating his complaints about the police, and so I checked into all of that and found that there was no merit whatsoever to any of the allegations made. And I informed the complainant of that, and he understood, and so there's no referral or no action to be taken on these matters. The other complaint was from a complainant who was complaining about how her father was treated at a local hospital and that police assisted employees in mistreating her father at the hospital. I, of course, immediately informed her that I could not look into anything with regard to the hospital and told her she should seek private counsel with regard to those matters. With regard to the issue regarding the police officer, before I had told her to go to the Internal Affairs, I did look into the matter to see what I thought of the matter, and found out that the police officer had been at the hospital when the incident occurred with her father and assisted the employees. And in my opinion, it appeared that the officer was fully justified in his actions, and that the father Blaine's father was the aggressor in the situation that caused the problems. But I informed her of that, but I also gave her all the information that was necessary for her if she wished to file a complaint with Internal Affairs to have them look at it further. She accepted that. I don't know if she did or not, but again, no referral, and I don't believe that there should be any further action taken on these matters. So, anything? Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Good job.
Now we'll go into the zoning portion of our meeting. The first item on the docket is number 2018-021 for the property located at 1510 Melrose Street in Ward 2. Petitioner is FOE Rental and Removal, LLC. Present zoning classification R2, single family and duplex residence, District 155.017. Requested zoning relief, reclassification to S1, Neighborhood Commercial District, Section 155.030, conditional permitted use pursuant to Section 155.030C9, taverns except for drive-ins or drive-up windows for the sale of alcohol, and Section 155.200, taverns, microbreweries, country clubs, and golf course clubhouses with liquor sales by the drink to allow a tavern, Section 155.030C5, conditional permitted uses in the S1 Neighborhood Commercial and Office District, packaged liquor sales except drive-in or drive-up windows for the sale of alcohol, and Section 155.210, packaged liquor sales to allow packaged liquor sales. Varies Section 155.200, A2, taverns to allow liquor sales by the drink on a lot within 100 feet of a residence, church, school, park, community facility, or daycare. Section 155.210, B, packaged liquor sales to allow a packaged liquor store within 100 feet of the nearest residential zoning lot, church, park, school, community facility, or commercial daycare center. Section 155.091, required accessory off-street parking spaces. Residences, Section 155.098, required accessory off-street parking spaces. Retail or service establishments, and Section 155.100, required accessory off-street parking spaces, eating and drinking establishments to allow 0 accessory off-street parking spaces and to allow the continued 6 spaces along the right-of-way north of the property line as parking with backing into the right-of-way. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation is approval of the reclassification to S1, granting of the requested conditional permitted uses pertaining to a tavern and packaged liquor sales, provided the tavern packaged liquor sales are limited to existing building footprint and providing the hours of operation are consistent with the city liquor license, and approval of the requested variances. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is denial.
Mr. Mayor, I make a recommendation. We accept the recommendation of the motion to accept the recommendation of the Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation, which is approval of the zoning request. Any discussion? All those in...
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Are there
Yes.
any objectors here tonight?
Any objectors here? Anybody who'd like to come up and speak on this matter, you can come to the podium and state your name and address for the council. We'd appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Gary Moffett. I live at 1517 East Melrose, and I only got one thing to say. We don't need no alcohol, no poker machines, 150 feet from my front door. I don't need that. I'm too old to listen to all that racket and noise all night long till 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever license they're wanting it for. But I just disagree. I don't think we need that in our neighborhood. There's more kids in this neighborhood now than there ever has been. All kinds of kids in the neighborhood. We don't need that in this neighborhood. That's all I got to say on the point.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the council on this matter?
Mayor, if I may.
Yes. If you'd state your name and address for the council, we'd appreciate it.
I'm Patrick Sheehan. I'm here on behalf of the petitioners. I just want to go over a few brief points that I think should be considered in weighing this petition. Some of the neighbors are against this mostly due to the fact of what this place was before. It's got a long history of being what I think we would all agree was a bad place. So with that in mind, I think there's some mutual ground here. We all agree it was a bad place before, and we all agree we don't want it to become a bad place ever again. With that, our clients are totally under the microscope here. This place was a bad place. They're not going to be given much leeway if it turns into anything like that in the future. The liquor license that we still need to apply for, hasn't been granted yet, is going to be very, very limited in scope. It's not a traditional tavern in the sense of the word. It's going to be something that only permits consumption on site of beer and wine. The hours are going to be restricted to the hours of operation. Our clients are totally flexible on that issue. Again, I think it's important to consider that this place has always been a bar. It was designed as a bar. It's been in the neighborhood forever. It really cannot be used for anything other than a commercial enterprise. If we allow this property to remain R2, the likely result is a dilapidated, rundown building. And we all know that those types of buildings and those types of places are eyesores for neighborhoods. They invite crime, they invite vandalism, and I think the biggest way to combat that is to put somebody who's going to occupy this building, somebody who's going to take ownership of the neighborhood and make it a better place. That's exactly what my clients want to do. So I think we should reward them for taking this risk. It may not work out, but I don't think this process, the zoning process, should be used to foreclose on their options to make a living. So again, I think the most recent negative operation of this place, the Sand Trap Tavern, really holds our clients to a much higher standard here. Our clients are very well aware of that. They know they're going to have a limited chance to make this work. Just for perspective, there's going to be two individuals who are going to be involved in the ownership and operation. Mr. Hant Walton and Miss Carolyn King. It's a father-son combination. It's going to be a minority-owned business. Mr. Walton was actually a corrections officer for 25 years, so he's got experience dealing with the behaviors that the neighbors are justifiably upset about. They're law-abiding people. I think they deserve a chance, and we would appreciate your approval of the petition as filed.
Alderman Redpath?
What was it before? Was it a bar before?
Yes, it was the Sand Trap Tavern. It's right by Bunn Park, but it was just a full-blown bar.
And they're going to make it a restaurant?
Yeah, it's going to be convenience store with the sale of packaged liquor, and then they're also going to be trying to apply for a gaming license, which, again, is something that they're going to have to go through that process for licensure and not guaranteed by any means.
And the reason why I motion for approval, agreement with the Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission, is it once was a bar. If it had never been a bar, I would never acknowledge putting a bar in that spot. But, I mean, whatever happened with the Sand Trap happened with those people. We have a new group of people coming in. They're business owners. They want to get something going, and I think that's a good place to start for these young people.
Alderwoman DeCenzo?
Wasn't this the one that had the protest petition?
Yes, there was a petition.
Okay, but it's not present tonight, correct?
It's in the packet.
It's in
the packet.
In your packet.
Okay.
Alderwoman
Valid petition.
Turner?
Matt, is that a valid petition? I don't want to answer a legal question.
It's not a valid protest petition, it's a valid objector's petition.
But it doesn't necessarily meet the criteria for an extraordinary vote, right?
This does, because of the variances are coming at the recommendation of denial from the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Turner?
I probably have a better perspective on this than anyone else sitting up here because I actually, from the year I was entering my senior year of high school, I lived one block north that area, and I still have my brother and his family still live there. So I know that that is a neighborhood that has been in transition. It's had some difficult times, but it's beginning to come back. And I think that it would be very beneficial to have someone to take over ownership of that building and restore it and not have, as they were saying, a dilapidated building, just sitting there. I think that we all know that in our older neighborhoods, when we have situations like that, it not only leads to the decline of property values, but it also deters other people from moving into the neighborhood, and people start to move out. And what we're really trying to do is to have people come back to the urban core, come back to those neighborhoods. So I would encourage all of my colleagues to support this petition.
Alderman Proctor?
What was the concern about the traffic and parking?
There is no parking on site, so it's all going to be street parking.
What did you say the hours were?
It's flexible, going to be tied to the liquor license, but they, I think, have planned between 7 and 8 in the morning to midnight, and they're totally flexible and will be consistent with whatever the liquor license is, or maybe a little deviation from that on the downside. But for the parking issue, I know that is definitely a valid concern from all the neighbors. There's an empty lot. I think it's right behind the building that is, I think the city owns. They are in the process of foreclosing on it. My clients are very interested in purchasing that, and that is going to be a perfect spot potentially for some on-site parking.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions? Alderman McMenamin.
Is it accurate that when our zoning commission voted on this, there were 5 voting against the petition, including former Alderman Bruce Strom, Dean Graven, former zoning manager Joe Gooden, and then 2 others? Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Any other questions?
I'd like to say one thing. We call ourselves business friendly, and this was once a business, and several people have come up to try and get new businesses started, and they've been voted down, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so adamant about letting these folks have a chance, because if we don't let someone start, where are we going to get to the point when we let someone start to have a business, especially in Ward 2? I'm going to be very personal with this, because we just keep shooting people down, and we wonder why people don't want to come and try and open up businesses in Springfield, especially in Ward 2. And we have a hard enough time getting businesses over there, and for no other reason but that's one reason why I'm standing up for these folks that want to open up this business.
Alderwoman Turner.
I also just want to add, I've had a number of conversations with Alderman Senor about this, and there were several objectors that appeared at the zoning hearing, and I know that Alderman Senor has talked to them, and he's had long personal conversations with them, and they had said that they understand, have a better understanding of what's going to be happening there, and they're not as opposed as they were at the zoning meeting. So I think that will speak to Alderman McMenamin's question about the way that vote went that night.
Could we hear some more from the objectors then to see if that's an accurate statement? Are they less opposed to the petition now than they were?
I didn't say, just when you say is that an accurate statement, just let me say this. I did not say that those objectors were here tonight. I said they were at the zoning meeting. So
I guess if anybody else from the audience would like to address the zoning matter, if you'd come forward and state your name.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Shantae Scantlin. I live in 1525 East Melrose. I disagree with everything because you guys don't have to live there, we do. So you haven't seen anything there. Once you open it back up, everybody that used to come there is going to come there again because it's open. Once the doorway is open, You can make it anything. That's not fair to us. We got to live there. Put yourself in our shoes. You know what I'm saying? Put yourself in our shoes and understand where we coming from. We got to live there. We got to live right across the street from it. How would y'all feel if you had a bar open up all times of night? We got to work in the morning. Y'all want thugs and stuff hanging around your neighborhood? We want to sell our house one day. That's all I got to say. Think about it.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the council on this matter?
Hello, Alderman. Hello, Mayor.
Hello.
I'm Alice Ramey, and I've tended bar at this bar many, many days. I knew it when it was a biker bar. I know now there's a biker across the street. Now, I live in a tough neighborhood. I would not want this bar open in my neighborhood at 7 or 2 or 3 or 4. I don't care. I really wouldn't. The building is set at a place where it's around houses. It's like a neighborhood bar. I know that they're trying to make it more accessible and make it more nice for Ward 2. Ward 2, this bar here needs to be really tore down and something else put up there that will make it more accessible to the people around there, because it does get loud. The noise will just blow them away. If you have kids, they won't be able to sleep. And I realize that he's been a correctional officer and understands all this. But to me, I do not think that they are required to have that bar there. I would not live there. Thank you, Mayor, for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Nicole Moffett. I live at 1515 East Melrose. Their door from my door is only 75 feet. There's no parking. The only parking lot is the empty lot that I own next door and mine. So that's it.
Anybody else wish to address the council on this matter? Any other?
Gary Moffett again, 1517 East Melrose. I just don't think it's no place for no bar. It does need to be tore down. And it's like 100 feet from my door, 150 feet maybe at the most. But we measured from my daughter's door to hers, and it's 75 feet. Now, would you want that bracket if you're 75 feet from your house? You got kids in there, got to go to school the next day. They're playing loud music, cars pulling up out in the parking lot, music blaring, and windows are rattling in our house. Would you all want that in your neighborhood? No, none of us would.
Anybody else? Any other comments by the council or the petitioner?
I will be very brief. I just want to emphasize this is just a convenience store with the sale of packaged liquors. There's a small spot, assuming they get a gaming license, that will be dedicated to slot machines, and that's where they would pour drinks, and that would strictly be limited to consumption on site in the gaming area. It's not going to be a traditional bar in the sense of the word we all know, and the reasons for that is because of the opposition that the neighborhood is expressing. So it's mostly a convenience store. The bar is a small portion of the business plan, and again, that's totally contingent on 1, a liquor license, and 2, a gaming license. 2 things that aren't guaranteed.
And the hours of operation again, days?
Most likely between 8 a.m., 12 a.m., midnight. But again, they are totally flexible on that.
Can we amend the operating hours to be 10 p.m.? Just because of, can you do that?
For the liquor license, is that when we would do that?
You can put a condition on the license.
Mm-hmm. On the liquor license? Yeah, we could do that when the liquor license
With the liquor
application
license?
goes.
Okay, very good.
Mayor.
Alderwoman Turner, and then Hannah.
That was the point that I was going to make. That was the point that I was going to raise, is that it was my understanding, and you confirmed it, that this is not going to be a tavern in the sense of what it was before. It's going to be a packaged liquor store where you go in and buy alcohol, buy the product, and then leave. Correct?
Correct. And no liquor, no hard stuff.
Right.
It's just beer and wine.
Beer and wine.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And then the next question is for zoning. When the objectors spoke at the zoning meeting, did they say whether they lived there did they move there when the other bar was there in operation?
I don't believe that anyone had indicated that or that question was asked.
Okay.
Alderman Hanhart?
Is there any way we can limit so that there's no jukebox, no loud music blaring? Since it's a
packaged liquor.
It's not that they don't have a jukebox in the store. There's no jukebox in the store. I think what the residents are referring to are people driving up with loud music in the cars.
Right. Okay.
So there's some uncontrollable things that nobody's going to be able to control. But this is not the...
Well, there's noise ordinances.
Right, right.
They could always
correct
control it that way, but I just wanted to make sure that there was not...
Yeah, it's not going to be a traditional bar where they got music playing and people are in there dancing and sitting on stools.
Any other questions? And again, they'll have to come back for the liquor license, and contingencies can be put onto that. Is that correct, Council? So any other discussion? All those in favor of the approval, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open. And the item passes 8 voting yes, 1 voting no, and 1 voting present. Next item on the agenda is docket number 2018-027 for the amendment to Chapter 155, Section 155.227. Petitioner, City of Springfield, requested zoning relief.
Chuck wants to postpone this, you might ask him.
What's that?
Chuck wants to postpone.
I'm sorry?
Alderman, is this one that you wanted to postpone?
Yes. Mayor, could we postpone this for 60 days, please?
Okay.
Before you read it.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's right. This is regarding the Lake Springfield leases. So we will continue that for another day. Next item on the agenda.
You should make a motion and it should be adopted.
Oh, okay.
Motion to postpone for 60 days.
That's my motion.
Motion to postpone for 60 days and seconded. Any discussion? Alderman Tyler. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is docket number 2018-016 for the property located at 620 and 624 South 4th Street in Ward 2. Petitioner is Forerunner Christian Fellowship. Present zoning classification is R5B. General Residence and Office District, Section 155.021. Requested zoning relief reclassification to S1 Neighborhood Commercial and Office District, Section 155.030, and a conditional permitted use, Section 155.030C2, conditional permitted uses in the S1 District Commercial parking lots in Section 155.184, commercial off-street parking to allow renting of space, variance of Section 155.001, definitions, lot to allow 2 principal uses of a lot, accessory parking for the salon, and extra spaces to be rented to the public. Section 155.111, access to off-street parking facilities which vehicles back into the alley instead of accessing it in the forward manner. And Section 155.112, surfacing for the existing approximate 35 feet by 60 feet gravel parking area along the east alley property line alleyway, a continued use of parking on a gravel surface instead of a solid dust-free required by code, and a variance of 155.112 to allow construction of a parking lot and a parking thereon a gravel surface instead of the solid dust-free surface required. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation is approval of reclassification to S1 and CPU 155.030C2 and 155.184, allowing a commercial parking lot in the S1 district and approval of variances 155.001, definitions lot, and 155.111, access to off-street parking facilities, but denial of variance of 155.112, surfacing. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is deny the petition as submitted, but grant the reclassification to S1 Neighborhood Commercial and Office District, Section 155.030. Chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation to deny the petition as requested, but grant the reclassification to S1 Neighborhood Commercial and Office District, Section 155.030.
Second the motion.
Been moved and seconded to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation to deny the petition as submitted, but grant the reclassification. Any discussion? Anybody wish to address the council regarding this matter? All those in favor of the agenda number for approval of the reclassification vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the motion passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is docket number 2018-028 for the property located at 1121 Percy in Ward 4. Petitioner is Eddie Chung. Present zoning classification is S2, Community Shopping and Office District, Section 155.031. Requested zoning relief, conditional permitted use pursuant to Section 155.031C4. Residences located on the first floor and Section 155.182. Multifamily residences in certain commercial districts and variance of Section 155.001. Definitions, lot, and Section 155.061. Basic yard requirements to allow the existing rear building, which was originally built as a dwelling but was recently has been used as storage, to again be used as a dwelling. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation is approval of the conditional permitted use limited to the existing footprint of the two residents on property index number 14-22-227-009 and approval of the requested variances. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission. Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion we accept the recommended approval of the entire package.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation for approval. Any discussion? Anybody wish to address the council on this matter? All those in favor of the motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the docket number passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is docket number 2018-030 for the property located at 1202 South 7th Street in Ward 6. Petitioner is Brick City, LLC. Present zoning classification is R5B, General Residence and Office Districts, Section 155.021. Requested zoning relief reclassification to B2, General Business Service District, Section 155.034, and a variance of Section 155.480I, Transitional Buffer Yard Requirement and Landscaping in Section 155.480J, Screening Activity Areas, and a variance of Section 155.050, Screening to allow commercial storage, parking of vehicles, trailers on subject property. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation is denial. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is amended to deny the petition as submitted, but grant a conditional permitted use under Section 155.021 and 155.183, accessory off-street parking not on the same zoning lot as use served, and a variance of 155.183C, which the accessory parking for the use contracting company is not located within 500 feet walking distance of the nearest general purpose entrance of the facility being served, and a variance of R5B use regulations to allow temporary storage of up to 4 construction vehicle trailers owned by the property owner of the parcel. Chair will entertain a motion.
I move to accept the amended motion of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to accept the amended Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation. Any discussion? Are there any individuals in the audience?
Discussion.
Oh, yes. Alderman McMenamin.
Does the amended motion speak at all to the types of vehicles that could be parked on the lot?
It does, and the owner is here, Seth Mullen, if he'd like to come up and explain the situation.
Hi, good evening. I'm Seth Mullen. They are vehicles that I use for my construction company, which also remodels the apartment buildings, and I own the apartment building next door. So pickup trucks and trailers that pull behind pickup trucks that fit in parking spots.
But not heavy construction equipment?
No.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
This is in your ward, Ward 6. Gordon Gates owns a property adjoining, and Gordon Gates is a constituent in Ward 7, so I think he sent us the same email. And so Mr. Gates, the neighbor nearby, he wanted to make sure that the amended language only permits licensed, properly plated, and tagged vehicles. And he was over there today, I guess, and saw, I'll just read, a large dump trailer with no license plate, a second large dump trailer with an expired plate of some kind.
I don't have a expired plate. I think I have a sticker that I need to put on it, and they both have plates. One's hard to see. It's mounted kind of up underneath it, so they're plated.
So he was very disappointed that on the night that the petition is getting to the council, there are violations of the very type that he wishes to avoid in the future.
Sure. There weren't, though. They are plated.
Well, was there a trailer with no license plate?
No.
So Gordon writes today, quote, "I walked over to the lot moments ago and found a large dump trailer with no license plate."
It's the plate sits under it. I mean, you can see it when you're pulling it in traffic, but yeah, the way they're parked, he would have to lay on the ground to see the license plate, I guess, but it's plated.
I guess he'd have to adhere to parking rules. I mean, he's not going to leave them there for weeks without being operated, right? I mean, you're going to be using these on a regular basis.
They're very rarely there during our working season. I mean, sometimes they're there in the wintertime when we're not using them as much.
And the email I've got, it kind of cut off, so I don't have all the language in the email, but apparently there was some construction materials there, so that would be contrary to the amended language.
Yeah, correct.
And then he sent a picture showing the construction material there on the lot.
Do you have that? I'll take care of it. There are 2 sheets of OSB leaning against the building behind the trailer.
The building that you own?
My building, yeah.
So I guess the question is the amended language strong enough to cover what Gordon Gates is concerned about?
I spoke to Gordon right before getting here. I was a little frustrated that I didn't hear from Gordon on this until 3:24 p.m. today. This has been going on since June 20th. So, and we had talked about it before, and I thought we had it all worked out. And then in speaking with Gordon, he said, no, this is just, we're emailing and we're misunderstanding each other. So, yes.
I've also spoken with Gordon, and what he had told me was that he was okay with, he specifically said roadworthy vehicles being parked there. So
the concern that arose from the original complaint was that construction vehicles were being parked on this parking lot that Mr. Mullen owns. So that's the point of this, is to make sure that there aren't construction vehicles parked in his parking lot.
Any other questions or discussion? Anybody from the audience wish to address the council on this matter? All those in favor of the petition as amended, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open. And And the docket number passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is docket number 2018-031 for the property located at 1035 North MacArthur in Ward 5. Petitioner is Canal Corporation. Present zoning classification is R2, single family and duplex residence district, section 155.017. Requested zoning relief amendment to docket number 2002-018 to provide for enlargement or extension of a non-conforming use of and section 155.153 and 155.156 to allow an enlargement or extension in a residential district into areas identified on Exhibit C as garage area game room, which is approximately 920 square feet area, and horseshoe and seating approximately 1,500 square foot area, and a variance of 155.156A to allow an enlargement to exceed 125% of the area occupied by the nonconforming use on July 22nd, 1966, and a variance of 155.156C to allow the extension without increasing the number of accessory off-street parking spaces, and to strike the language, quote, with the condition that the area close cease operation at 10 p.m. and there be no outdoor music or speakers, end quote. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation is approval of requested relief to expand the tavern and beer garden limited to the site plan submitted with the petition regarding amendment request to docket number 2002-018 regarding hours of operation is justified due to recent trends towards granting hours of operation in accord with city liquor licenses and zoning cases, and recommends approval of this part of the request. Recommends denial of the request to strike the language in zoning case 2002-018 pertaining to there be no outdoor music or speakers. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is denial. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to deny the petition.
Second the motion.
Been moved and seconded to deny the petition. Any discussion? Is the petitioner here and wish to make a statement? If you'd come forward and state your name and address. No? Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion to deny, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open. And the motion to deny is, Alderman Hanauer's gone. Okay. Motion to deny passes with 8 voting yes, none voting no, 1 voting present. Next item on the agenda is docket number 2018-035 for the property located at 3109 and 3111 Spring Mill Drive in Ward 8. Petitioner is Jose Gonzalez, owner of 3111 Spring Mill, and Gregory and Susan Nergena, owners of 3109 Spring Mill. Present zoning classification, Cokie Mill East Planned Unit Development. Requested zoning relief variance of the Cokie Mill East PUD. Text for basic yard requirements to permit variance of the front setback of 20 feet to approximately 17.8 feet for the 3109 Spring Mill Drive, and to permit a variance of front setback of 20 feet to approximately 16.4 feet at 3111 Spring Mill Drive, permitting the encroachments on Exhibit B, partial plat of vacation to remain in place to convert from a condominium to a zero-lot line duplex. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation is approval. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation. The chair will entertain a motion.
Move to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation.
Second.
Been moved and second to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open. And the docket number passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is docket number 2018-036 for the property located at 3410 Remington Street in Ward 4. Petitioner is Thermo King Quad Cities, Inc. Present zoning classification is I-1, Light Industrial District, Section 155.040. Requested zoning relief variance of Section 155.112, surfacing to allow construction of an open off-street parking in a vehicle storage area of dustless rock without requiring a wearing surface of asphaltic, concrete, or comparable surface 155.143 plan of off-street parking or loading areas to construct an open off-street parking and vehicle storage area of dustless rock without requiring plans for accessory off-street parking areas or a building permit 155.480 landscape screening and lighting regulations to allow construction of a parking area without requiring a landscape plan, including but not limited to installation of maintenance or parking lot landscaping, screening, and lighting, and the points that related thereto for a period of 2 years to comply with the requirements of those sections. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation is approval for the period not to exceed 2 years. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission with the additional requirement that the parking lot be treated with dust palliative. Chair will entertain a motion.
Recommend a motion for approval of the Sangamon County Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
So it's moved and seconded to accept the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation, which is the approval for a 2-year period. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the docket number passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is docket number 2018-037 for the property located at 33 Winehold Lane in Ward 1. Petitioner is Douglas and Linda Daniels. Present zoning classification is R1 Single Family Residence District, Section 155.016. Requested zoning relief, a variation of Section 3, setbacks of Appendix A of the Lake Land Use Plan for Lake Springfield and its marginal properties to allow the removal of an existing 24-foot by 24-foot 576 square foot freestanding 2-car garage and to replace it with a new 960 square foot 2-car freestanding garage with additional storage. New garage would be located in approximately the same footprint as the existing garage with the additional square footage extending to the south and east, and to allow the new garage setback of 3 feet from the north side yard lot to the overhang of the north side of the new garage, same as exists with the current garage, instead of the 10-foot setback requirement. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation is approval. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation for approval. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a recommendation we take the Regional Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation for approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to take the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation for approval. Any discussion? All those in favor of the docket number for approval, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open. And the docket number passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is docket number 2018-038 for the property located at 800 South College in Ward 5. Petitioner is Dorothy Ryan and John Champagne. Present zoning classification Office District Section 155.020 with a conditional permitted use granted for 2 dwellings on the second floor and a hair salon on the first floor, docket 2012-049. Requested zoning relief, reclassification of R5B, general residence and office district, and a variance of 155.056. Minimum required lot area per dwelling unit to allow a 3-unit residential dwelling on a lot containing 5,712 square feet of a lot area instead of the 7,500 square feet required to utilize the property as a multifamily residential triplex with 2 dwellings units on the second floor and 1 dwelling unit on the first floor. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation is approval of the reclassification to R5B, general residence and office district, and a variance of 155.056, minimum required lot area per dwelling unit to allow a 3-unit residential dwelling on a lot containing 5,712 square feet. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission recommendation for approval. The chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve staff recommendation for approval.
It's been moved and second to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation for approval. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion for approval vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the docket number passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. And that concludes our zoning portion of the meeting. This time, the chair will recognize Treasurer Busher for the presentation of the financial report.
Thank you, Mayor Langfelder. The corporate fund in the month of June had a beginning balance of $3,176,420. We took in total receipts of $19,512,312. We had total disbursements in the month of June of $18,786,186. And the corporate fund had an ending balance in the month of June of $3,902,546. This concludes my report, Mayor Langfelder.
Thank you very much. Any questions? All those in favor of the treasurer's report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the July 3rd, 2018 City Council meeting and approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council first reading of ordinances into the record of this City Council meeting.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council reading of the consent agenda into the record of this City Council meeting.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to place the consent agenda on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion?
This discussion, Mayor.
Alderman McMenamin?
Request to place 2018-306 on the debate agenda. That's a good ordinance that creates a new electric rate, 71, for intended to help those with electric vehicles. And we kind of passed over this ordinance last week because we had such a long meeting, but this is an opportunity to allow John Davis to explain what's happening with this ordinance and how it can be beneficial to our residential ratepayers.
Great. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the consent agenda vote yes, with the exception of 2018-306. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the consent agenda passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Agenda number 2017-103, 2017-266, 2017-435, 2017-436, 2017-470, 2017-489, 2018-005, 2018-110, 2018-141, 2018-247, 2018-285, 2018-322, and 2018-325 remain tabled or in committee. Is there any action on any of those? Next item on the agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to take 2018-324 out of order and go first.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. With the item, agenda number 2018-324, an ordinance appointing Dave Robinson to the Springfield Economic Development Commission, the chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2018-324 on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion?
Is Mr. Robinson here?
Yes. If you'd like to come forward, please, and give us a little background, we'd appreciate it.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
David Robinson, 24-year member, International Brotherhood of Teamsters, Local 916, based out of here, Springfield, Illinois. I serve on several councils here in the city of Springfield. I'm the vice president of the building trades. I sit on the Trades and Labor Council as well as a trustee. I also sit on workforce development as a union partner. I sit on a lot of the local negotiating committee teams for 916. And I'm hoping, with your blessing, to be a part of the Economic Development Commission.
Great. Any other questions? All those in favor the appointment, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open.
Welcome
Appointment
aboard.
passes, 10 voting yes, none voting no. Thank you very much.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is 2018-252, an ordinance to increase the number of Class D liquor licenses by one for Seafood World, Inc., doing business as Anchors Away, located at 518 East Capitol Avenue, as amended. Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2018-252 on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
And we do have an amendment. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you.
There is a proposed amendment number 1. You may recall this one had been held in committee pending a correction on the applicant's name, and you have before you proposed amendment number 1, which is for Seafood World, Inc., which will DBA Anchors Away, and it has gone through the normal process and approved and so on. So this is the updated name of the applicant.
Motion we accept amendment number 1.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept amendment number 1. All those in favor say aye. Oh,
There's,
sorry, discussion.
I'm sorry, it's spelled two different ways. On our agenda, it's spelled away, and on the amendment, it's spelled away. W-E-I-G-H.
Thank you.
Just an FYI.
Good catch.
That should be AWAY, Mr. Zirkles. Can we make that?
We'll make sure we
Technical change.
will check that and correct it.
Thank you.
No, I was talking about the two ways.
So we will get with the requester and make sure we have it spelled properly. Correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I thought the amendment was clever.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries, one voting present. So any discussion on the ordinance as amended? All those in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open. And the ordinance passes 9 voting yes, none voting no, and 1 voting present. Next item on the agenda is 2018-297, an ordinance authorizing acceptance of a RFP VM 18-13 with Motor Parts and Equipment Corporation doing business as Napa Auto Parts for a turnkey parts store operation for an amount not to exceed $4,950,000 from August 1st, 2018 through July 31st, 2021 for the Office of Budget and Management. Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2018-297 on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the ordinance passes 9 voting yes, 1 voting no. Next item on the agenda is 2018-306, an ordinance amending Chapter 50 of the 1988 City of Springfield Code of Ordinances as amended regarding electric utility rates for electric vehicle charging, rate 71 for the Office of Public Utilities. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to adopt, accept, pass.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept. Discussion? John, if you'd give an overview, we'd appreciate it.
Sure. This new rate is to incentivize off-peak charging of electric vehicles. Currently, we have about 85 electric vehicles in the city, the ones that we know of course. And what this will do is allow them to do level 2 charging. Level 1 charging is very similar to having a hairdryer, possibly. Level 2 is a much higher amperage type of a draw on our circuits and on our transformers, and we want to incentivize the individuals that have electric vehicles to do that during the non-peak times, do it overnight. It's for load shaving for us. So instead of having all this current draw and all that at 5 o'clock in the evening, we want to move it to the nighttime. That will help us with our infrastructure and our transformers. If you think of a normal residential area, you have a transformer with maybe 4 houses that are supplied by that transformer. If all 4 of those houses would have electric vehicle, that transformer is not sized to handle that type of load. So we, during the normal summer, just air conditioning load, we stretch out that transformer. We put a lot of stress on that transformer. So we want to move that load tonight. And that's what this ordinance is to do, is to incentivize individuals to charge their vehicles at night. And in order to do that, there's quite a bit of a drop in load. I mean, it's a 50% charge that we're going to be dropping off the normal rate 30 customer class in order to incentivize that charging at night through this level 2 charger. What we do require is that it requires a second meter, so the customer will have to put in the infrastructure for a second meter in their house. That cost will be on them in order to do that if they want this this rate that we're proposing tonight. So I think it's a good thing moving forward. Should help again incentivize people to charge off-peak and hopefully maybe even purchase more electric vehicles going forward. Something we want to be prepared for into the future. Like today, it's only about 85 vehicles, but in 5 years, it could be 850 vehicles. We want to be prepared for that coming forward.
Question.
Yep. Alderman Senor.
How will you know they're not charging their vehicle? How will you know if they're charging their vehicles on peak or off-peak time?
The second meter that they'll be installing, excuse me, will be a time of use meter. So we'll be able to tell exactly the time of the day that they are charging.
And will they be charged an additional rate if they charge it in the peak time?
If they, yeah, they'll be, basically the time of use meter will charge at off-peak, which would be the lowest rate, and then at mid-peak, which would be kind of like a mid-morning to mid-afternoon rate, which is the exact same rate that everyone else would have. But if they would charge during the peak time from 2 in the afternoon to 9 p.m., they'll be charged a fee or an extra amount for that time frame.
Alderman Redpath.
Don't we have electric chargers in some of our parking ramps around the city?
I know we do the one right behind our building, and that's a level 1 charger.
Wouldn't they be charging during the day and during the peak season?
But that's a level 1 charger. It's a different, we're only talking about level 2 chargers here, which is the higher amperage straw type of a charger.
Any other questions or discussion? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All those in favor of the ordinance vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the ordinance passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is 2018-316, an ordinance authorizing execution of a redevelopment agreement with the Young Men's Christian Association of Springfield, Illinois, YMCA, for redevelopment assistance for the property located at 701 South 4th Street, utilizing Enos Park and Central Area Tax Increment Finance Funds in an amount not to exceed $5,900,000 through the Office of Planning and Economic Development. The Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2018-316 on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? Alderman Senor.
Yeah, could someone from the Y come up, please? Sorry, Angie, I'm gonna beat you up. I went over this last night.
If you'd state your name for the council, we'd appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Angie Soul. I'm the CEO of the YMCA.
Okay, I noticed there's a YMCA, but has the logo changed, or are you all still known as a YMCA?
Has the logo changed?
Yeah, has your name changed, or are you all, because there's some, I know there's some disparity there, so can you clear that up? Is it the Y or is it the YMCA?
It is the YMCA, and the logo has changed to the Y, but it's just because it's so highly recognized as the YMCA, even though the logo changed to the Y, we're still known as the YMCA. Young Men's Christian Association is still our official name.
Okay, and then on the, back on the financial breakdown, you have 2 closing costs of $150,000. Can you explain why there's 2 closing costs of $150,000?
Okay. No, but I brought somebody with me who can.
I bet Mimi, are you going to explain that for us?
Mm-hmm. You'd state your name for the council and who you represent, that'd be great.
Mimi Hurwitz with Hurwitz Enterprises. We're the development team, or part of the development team for the YMCA.
On the financial breakdown, there's closing costs of $150,000, and then directly down 3 entries later, there's another closing cost of $150,000.
On the pro forma?
What?
It's on the.
Just to make sure that I'm looking at the same
Corporation
page.
Counsel might be able to explain that as well.
Mr.
Maybe this would be keep in mind that these are estimated, I don't mean to interfere with the discussion, but estimated project costs. This is fairly complicated. If there are both loans and also tax credits, which are contemplated. One, I think, is referring to loan closings, and I'm guessing that to be such things as mortgages and so on. However, these are not final numbers. And what will end up happening is these are the estimated budget. There's a not to exceed provision, not to exceed at the maximum 20% because they don't have all the bids in. All of that will have to be presented to the city before before the first draw is known. So these are the estimates. They're very likely to vary since they don't have all the actual bids done.
Okay, I understand that, but if it's a misnomer, I need to know it's a mistake. If it's not a mistake, then I need to know why there's two separate entries for closing costs.
Well, I think one appears to be referring, and I'm just looking at the information. One seems to be referring to the property acquisition and closing cost, and I'm guessing legal relating to like contracts and things. The second seems to be referring to loan closings. I'm guessing that probably will be both the mortgage and also the, for the construction, and then also the, I'm guessing the
tax credits.
Tax credit closings.
Okay, well, if they're separate, then I'd like that noted before, so that we can know exactly what those expenses are for.
We'll have the detail on everything before there's any money drawn on the TIF.
Okay, but you're asking us to approve those amounts tonight. Am I correct, or are we not approving those amounts?
You're not voting to approve the $35 million budget. The contract that's before you is just to authorize up to $5.9 million, not to exceed 20% of the total project cost for TIF eligible expenses.
Correct.
This project is made up of things that are not TIF eligible and things that are TIF eligible.
I understand.
So the city, through the agreement, will have to literally, and I don't mean to step in front of the attorney for the applicant, but essentially they will have to present all of the detail, the bids, everything. And I would personally expect a variance from this. It may be higher, may be lower than that, but we're capped at the 5.9, not to exceed 20%.
Correct.
But before anyone can receive any money, they have to present evidence of complete project funding, loan commitments, commitments from the hospital. You may recall the hospital Memorial, to be more specific, had pledged $9 million.
Have all that,
so,
yes, sir.
All of that has to be done as a prerequisite before any TIF money would actually become available.
I understand that, but my concern is that this shows up on a sheet that was given to us to approve, so I just wanted to make sure that there was a definition of that and why it's there twice.
Alderman Hanauer, then Redpath.
Yeah, the idea is you're not going to accept any TIF money. You're not even, this is just.
We are not accepting any TIF money until we have all of our avenues of financing in place.
Financial package done correctly.
And the two different 150 loan closing is we do have title work. We have agreements with Memorial that have to be, obviously documented. We've got agreements with new market tax credits. We'll have multiple agreements with banks. So while we have legal with the city, obviously, that we're incurring when we're, negotiating the TIF financing, but we will not request any monies from the TIF until we have Memorial's commitment, which has been committed, the $2.5 million of tax credits, approximately $7 million of philanthropic gifts, and then multiple bank coming in for financing. Those will all be secured.
And right now, that is really expected to take probably into next year.
Yes.
And that, to make it very clear, they'll do some preliminary work this year, but they do expect formal work to begin, as I understand it, sometime maybe next spring or summer, but nothing will happen until all money is in place.
Alderman Redpath.
Answers your question.
And based on the tax credits that we get, this number could go down because the more we get on the tax credits, that could be the difference. In so we're not to exceed a certain amount, but we actually could be going the other direction.
Absolutely. if we receive over $5 million in new market tax credit.
Right.
Anything over $5 million in new market tax credits, the 900,000 over the 5 million TIF committed would be 50 cents on the dollar.
Okay. Thanks.
Alderwoman DeSenso?
What would happen if you did not get this $5.9 million in TIF money?
I don't know that there could be a project, to be honest with you, because we're looking at a $35 million price tag, $9 million gift for Memorial. This gets us, almost halfway there, and the community, the more traction we get, the more community support we'll get, and I don't see this project coming to fruition without this.
I know in our early discussions with Memorial, if this didn't go through, their numbers would change. I'm not sure if they'd be as supportive as what they were.
And just to be clear, my son is spending his entire summer at YMCA camps. So I'm a big fan of the Y. I grew up at the Y, whether I wanted to or not. And, my concern with this has been twofold. We had a big TIF project on MacArthur Boulevard before my time on the council. It was Hy-Vee, and it was supposed to totally transform MacArthur Boulevard, and it was supposed to do all this and all that, and it was going to be, and it's been great. It has been fantastic. Actually, the previous administration said it was the most exciting thing he'd ever seen come to town, if you will remember. And Hy-Vee is an experience. It's not just a grocery store. They have classes and a restaurant, and we all know we've all been to Hy-Vee. It's a great place. But we also have across the street, we have a new gun store, and we have a new vaping store, and we have some pawn shops and things like that. So just because we build something doesn't mean the things around it are going to be as cool as the initial thing. So that's my first point. And my second point is, we keep saying we're going to do these, we don't want to give money to, we don't want to give TIF money to things that don't generate increment. That's the point of a TIF. And I understand the need for it, and I get it, and that's why my first question was, what would happen if you didn't get this money? So I'm supportive of this project. I just want us all to be very cognizant of the fact of, just because we build something doesn't mean other great things are going to come around it.
Go ahead.
I'll address your first point and then ask maybe to talk about the business development that you guys have been in discussions with. You're right. I mean, there's no way for us to guarantee what comes around, but I do think that this takes up that entire block. It will take the whole block up. Midway point between both hospital campuses, kind of a bridge between the medical district and downtown. I think the more good things that come there, the more good things that will come there, and I think that was with the county market too. We certainly have no control over who our neighbors are going to be, but we do hope this will help transform that community as well as the entire medical district in the downtown.
Mr. Mayor. And that's why it's important, the zoning and comprehensive planning, and unfortunately, previous councils let that train go the way it did, but this is a different area that you pointed out those initiatives coming forward, and so we'll take it a step at a time with regards to that. I think Alderwoman Turner was next.
No, I'm just going to make a statement that's like already been said, that I just was trying to reiterate that the $35 million budget that Alderman Senor had the question about is not what we are approving line by line. Our issue is only with the TIF money, and before any of that money goes out the door, we would receive an itemized budget of what that would be going for, and that's what we would
Absolutely.
that's what we would be voting on.
Absolutely.
And as corporate counsel pointed out earlier, that is topped at 20% of the total budget, and right now the request is for 16.5% of the total budget.
Alderman Donlin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that question that was asked a few minutes ago about if the project would occur if it weren't for TIF funds, and you answered that it would not. Regarding the issue of, and it's something that we obviously take near and dear to our hearts, we like to see the utilization of tax increment financing dollars to bump up the area's real estate values and so forth. But this one obviously isn't generating real estate tax dollars, but what it is doing is through the utilization of some money from the city and investment from the city, we're getting a almost $36 million project. And it's going to change the face, maybe not entirely, but it will assist in changing the face of that area. And it is something that is needed, and hopefully will continue the domino effect of the redevelopment of the area towards the Enos Park, in the Enos Park area. Let alone the benefits that you outline. I appreciate the information. Corporation Counsel and the Mayor's Office, I appreciate your due diligence and the structure of this agreement, how the reimbursement, first of all, the reimbursement won't occur unless there's eligible cost. That has to be documented. It's over a period of time. That's good to see. It's not like it's utilizing all of the downtown and Enos Park funds that would be available in 1 year. It's going to be phased over a period of time, and I think it's good for Springfield, so thank you.
Alderman Proctor?
Yeah, Alderman Dowling stole most of my talking points, but that's okay. There's a lot of excitement for this project coming to the neighborhood, and we're already getting feelers for other things that will come down the line once this thing is built. And one of the biggest objectors that called me on this about not generating property tax revenue and increment, they kept saying, no, it's a violation of TIF rules. You can't give the nonprofit because they want to. No, it's not the case. And this project will show economic merit, and it will prove economic development throughout the rest of the area. And I explained to him about the $35 million price tag and how that economic development will occur, and the theory of the velocity of money, how that money will just circulate throughout the rest of the community. And so when I explained that to him, he's like, all right, you got me sold. So this is something that needs to happen for the area. Greatly appreciate it, and welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Alderman McMiniman.
My question has to do with the TIF funds. This is an unusual project because we're utilizing two different TIF accounts. And by the way, I hope your project is as transformative in Enos Park as Hy-Vee has been to MacArthur Boulevard. It's really had a domino effect after Hy-Vee came in. Not only did we have 500 local jobs and a local grocery store where we had none, but we did a $20 million project for affordable housing, and we've had 7 additional knockdown buildings since Hy-Vee came in. The St. John's Health Clinic expanded. We've got interest in where the Esquire Theater had been that hasn't been made public. A lot is happening. I hope the same type of domino effect happens for your project. But my question has to do with the two TIF funds. I think, is there any document that shows the drawdown of the two respective TIF funds year by year, any spreadsheet that shows the drawdown? Some of the questions I've received from the public has to do with, well, how quick, and these aren't questions for you, but really for Economic Development Director or Mr. Zirkle, to show, how much will Enos Park be drawn down. I know Alderman Proctor asked some good questions that, as I understood, there'd be no more than half of the
revenue. 2.95 million. That's in the agreement. Got worked out.
That's in the redevelopment agreement?
Yes.
And so what will be the pace of the drawdown? Is this going to be a borrowing from the TIF funds, or will it be a drawdown as the expenses are presented for reimbursement? Can you speak to that?
Certainly. If you look at Exhibit, if you have a copy, if you look at Exhibit A, it sets out the schedule where it says TIF participation, and the earliest that the first draw would be August 1st of 2019. Total maximum 1.5 million. That would be a year from now. August 1st of 2020, which is 2.5 million maximum. August 1st of 2021, 1 million, and then August 1st of 2022, 900,000. And the formula that's set forth or mentioned here references that they would be split equally between the two TIF districts, provided, however, that if the Enos Park TIF did not have sufficient funds, then the central area TIF, the downtown TIF, would pay that and recover that from Enos Park in the future, provided it could never leave less than $250,000 available annually for Enos Park. And that was the discussion that had been worked out at some of the various meetings. And so it sets out a formula, and those are the earliest dates, if I might say it that way, because it could be actually after August 1st. We just don't actually know for sure yet. So that's the formula over 4 years with the dates the earliest could happen. And again, the timing of that was tried to address the cash flow because of the relationship of when the TIF disbursements receive funds from the assessor's office and so on. So if it's after that, it actually improves the cash flow. In other words, if it actually happens after that, from the TIF perspective.
Mr. Zirkle, how much of that is on the assumption of the extension of the TIF? Isn't one of the TIFs expiring?
That the Enos Park TIF is expiring, and if it's not renewed, the intent is to pursue the renewal. I think we had possibly talked about that, I think, at the Committee of the Whole. If it's not, then the downtown TIF would finish the payments.
Would that affect, how would that affect the downtown TIF if it was totally responsible for those TIF payments?
In round, just in kind of round numbers, the downtown TIF has a net annual incremental funds of about $2.2 million, approximately $2.3 million. That's after the distributions to the taxing bodies that you may recall when the downtown TIF was extended. So in its entirety, this would represent about a little over 2 years of downtown TIF entire increment.
But at that point in time, 2020, what's the, so say we don't get the extension, how much is left owed with regards to the payment plan? Isn't it just one more installment or 2 more installments? What is that?
It would be 2 more for 2021. And
that is how much?
$1 million. And then 2022 is $900,000.
So 1.9 would be the amount to be covered by the downtown TIF.
So that basically only covers 1 year of increment that we're bringing in, because you said we bring in over $2 million in 1 year.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So we wouldn't expire even 1 year.
And just so you know, I'm not against the project. I want you to know that, but I just have to ask these questions so
Understood.
I have the answers clear in my mind. Because I've been a member of the Y since 1969. So.
Nobody should take offensive questions. I mean, that's what it's all about. We're here to educate each one and the public, so it's helpful to ask questions.
I would also mention that in the discussions with the Y and with Memorial, they were supportive of structuring it so it minimized potential impacts with the TIF. So I would at least want to acknowledge that, because that was a topic of some considerable discussion. Also, it's the city's belief that we will likely, that there will likely be more than the $5 million in tax credits. I know the initial estimate, I think now they had penciled in at about 5, and then they came back and said maybe 2 to 3, but it's, we think, better than even chance it'll be in excess of 5, so we may end up being able to reduce this, but that's to your benefit, that's to the Y's benefit, because that means you've got extra money. So we'll be working on that with them on that, on that component.
And if people have not gone by there, you should drive down 4th Street, head north, and I think someone mentioned the county market over there, and that was, I think the city had participation. I'm not sure if it was CDBG funds or TIF funds, as previous administration, as was pointed out, but the one we did participate on this council is the Art Association. So if you haven't done so, take a look. That campus is growing, and this YMCA is going to be, connect the dots. And when you have a growing medical community, this really helps the infill. And it'll be really a transformation. The transformation's happening, and this is just another piece of the puzzle that will build upon that. But if you'd touch on the job creations or the additional programs that you'll have, that would be helpful.
Sure. Right now, we employ 566 people. The majority of those are part-time, so it's 182 full-time equivalents. We estimate an additional 50 jobs, depending on the size size we land on of the project and the impact of the programming. But one of the heart of the why, what the YMCA is equalizer services to low-income children and families. Last year, we provided $500,000 worth of financial assistance to people in this community. 3,100 children and their families participated in programs once we remove the financial barriers. Research shows that children who are involved in programs like the Y are less likely to drop out of school, be convicted of crimes, more likely to graduate from high school, go on to college, or get a trade. So it just increases our opportunity to reach the people of this community. We served over 17,000 youth under the age of 18 last year, and we're in a building that makes service delivery kind of challenging. So we're very excited about how we can improve and increase our reach and our impact when we have a new building to work with.
Very good. And then Val Yazel, if you'd come up and anything you want to add to it, and especially once financing in place, the process for drawdowns and that approval process.
Well, obviously, anything that's TIF eligible will come to our office, and we will make sure that it is indeed TIF eligible before we write the check. So as far as the drawdowns, I haven't quite got that in my head yet from this agreement, but we're not going to release funds unless they're TIF eligible.
Very good. So any other questions or comments?
I can tell you that I've talked to developers that are salivating at the opportunity for this building to come there so they can do some developments over in that area. So that's in conjunction with what Alderman DeCenso said about the MacArthur area. There was pre-existing situations there that, and like Joe said, they're starting to deteriorate. They're tearing down buildings and building up. So this is going to be a really gold mine for that area over there. And I worked over there for years. I can tell you that the Memorial Hospital's commitment is worth gold to us. This is going to be a great opportunity, and it's going to be a great project for the city. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Val has had discussions with developers about workforce housing in the area, and that will be soon to follow once everything's in place, I'm sure. There's just the amenities right in that area. People prefer walking to work or what have you, and you have the grocery store, you have the health facility, and you have the medical community with, one of our largest employers with St. John's and Memorial Health Services and SIU right there. So it will be transformational with regards to multifamily unit apartments, I'm sure, and other housing.
Yeah, I serve on the Memorial's Foundation Board, and I know how committed they are to that area. So.
Very good. Any other discussions or comments? All those in favor of the ordinance, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open. And the ordinance passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is number 2018-324, an ordinance appointing, we already did that one. Great, we're moving ahead. Chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and place on first reading agenda number 2018-342, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsible bid and authorizing execution of contract number PW 19-06-28 with Rayhan Brothers doing business as Sangamo Construction Company for the Enos Avenue Improvements Project for an amount not to exceed $113,115 for the Office of Public Works. So moved. Second. Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and place on first reading agenda number 2018-343, an ordinance declaring various parcels of real property to be surplus property, directing the sale of said real property and authorizing the publication of a notice of said sale and request for proposals.
Moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those.
Question.
Yes, Alderman Senor.
Are these lots going to be given, are homeowners going to be given first priority to these lots if there's contiguous to a lot already where someone lives, not someone that's coming in to buy up the property? Do we have any of those safeguards in place, or are we just putting them out there for sale for everyone?
And Val can correct me or add to it, but correspondence with the bid proposal will be out there, but we ask that they submit in writing what the request is and also the purpose for the property. So, of course, the property owner next would get preference unless there's a better project that would come forward.
Okay.
I mean, that'd be my, opinion, but I don't know, Val, you want to add to it, or Corporation Counsel? Feel free to.
This is really just the first initial step. We have to do this under the statute for an RFP. So if the criteria, ultimately, when proposals are received to give precedence to adjoining property owners, then the city can certainly do that. But this is just to advertise it so people can make proposals.
I've had several calls for people that have empty lots next to them, vacant lots next to them, that are interested in purchasing them. So if that can be somehow written into the rule or become part of the project, I'd appreciate it.
Very good. Alderwoman Turner?
I would just ask that when the purchasing agent sends out the RFP, if she could also provide Alderman with a copy of it, only because, like Alderman Senor, I think I have, and I know that Alderwoman DeCenso has had a number of people that have contacted me about the vacant lots, and somehow or another they missed the notification and don't have an opportunity to provide a bid in a timely manner. So if we have that information, then we can contact those individuals and help to promote it.
Yeah, we'll be sure you get that. Any other discussion on that? Alderwoman DeCenso?
And I hope the city promotes it as well, because I don't think we did a great job last time, and the deadline came, and we were kind of scrambling to make sure people knew that they could buy these vacant lots. So I hope we have a bigger push this time, and people are aware of the fact that these lots are available.
Yeah, I do want to commend the Budget Office for giving us another, for extending the deadline.
Absolutely.
So if we all have an opportunity to promote it and get the word out, then hopefully we can avoid extra work on your part.
Yeah, the greatest advocate is social media, so if Alderman can push that out as well, that'd be good. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and place on first reading agenda number 2018-344, an ordinance authorizing execution of a professional services agreement with Downtown Springfield, Inc. for an amount not to exceed $50,000.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Is there any unfinished business to come before the City Council?
Mayor, I'd like to bring up a couple of points about the upcoming calendar.
Great.
This is July has 5 Tuesdays, so I just want everyone to keep in mind that next week is our week off. We do not have committee on the 24th. We will come back and have committee on the 31st, which then leads to the first council of August is not on the normal Tuesday. If you'd like to talk to that, I think it's more in your wheelhouse about National Night Out, if you'd like to.
Oh, see, I didn't even know. I was planning on coming.
Ah, there you go. Well,
you would have been here on Tuesday.
National
That's
Night
right.
Out is a night where a lot of the neighborhood associations do things, invite the elected officials to come to the neighborhood associations, and they encourage for people to meet face-to-face rather than behind a computer screen or a phone. So some of the places do ice cream socials, some of them do food trucks, some of them just do popsicles. It's just an opportunity to meet your neighbors, meet some of the elected officials that are local to your area. And that will be on Tuesday the 7th, so our city council is moved to Wednesday the 8th on that particular week.
And we'll be sure to put that out there on the neighborhood news that goes out every Friday and make people aware of what's happening.
And I'd also like to recognize that I think we have a Boy Scout.
He snuck out.
No, he's right down there in front.
So if you'd like to come forward and tell us your name and troop you're with and your ranking, that'd be great.
There's another one too.
I'm Maximilian Brinkley, otherwise known as Max, from Troop 3 Boy Scouts, and we are from DAUMC Church nearby.
Great.
somewhere nearby anyway.
And are you working towards your Eagle Scout, or?
Yes.
And do you know what your project is yet?
Not yet.
Very good. Well, best of luck. Thank you for being with us tonight and your service.
Welcome.
Any other unfinished business? Alderman Senor.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, my son roped me into doing this, but I gave everybody a flyer, or if you don't have one, I'll make sure you get one. But Project MAC presents their second annual Take Back the City Gun Violence Awareness Weekend, and this came about last year when you had the 3 deaths within a week. So Justice Collins and Herman Senor II have taken on this endeavor, and they're trying to raise funds. So if anyone wants to donate, there's a website where you can go and donate at projectmac.com. It's totally, they're giving back everything that they get, putting it back into scholarships. Friday night, there's a benefit concert at Rock and Roll Hardy's from 6 to 9:30 featuring local artists, and they're going to end up with Capitol Sound Band. And then Saturday, they're going to have an all-star game, alumni game at Southeast High School. Yes, Alderman Turner, Southeast, at 7 o'clock. And you're welcome to come. And admission is only $2 for adults and $1 for students.
I see smoke.
And they would appreciate, and this is in regards to what the mayor put out last year, and these are 2 young kids trying to make a difference. So any support you can give them, they would greatly appreciate it.
Very good. Any other unfinished business? Alderman Donald?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to, I'm sure everybody in this room is well aware of an ongoing problem that's occurring throughout the city, and that pertains to vehicle break-ins. It's been happening in most wards just about every night, and I've had numerous conversations. I had conversations with you, Mayor, I had conversations with the police department, and I think it'd be worth having the chief come up and talk about what people can do, but also I'd like to hear, and one of my constituents really put this very pointedly not too long ago this evening. They want to hear, they want to feel and hear the police out in the neighborhoods and doing what they can to remedy the situation. So, Chief, I appreciate your comments.
No problem. Obviously, anytime somebody's car is burglarized, you feel violated, and it's obviously something we don't want to happen in our community. Between July 13th and July 16th, we had 35 reports of burglaries of motor vehicles. Out of that, 30 of them were to unlocked vehicles. The crimes occurred in all areas of the community, but there was a concentration in Indian Hills, Westchester.
Could you repeat that number? What was the total?
35.
35 in what span of time?
3 days.
Of break-ins?
Basically, burglaries to unlock vehicles.
Okay.
30 of the 35 were to unlock vehicles. That's where people are leaving valuables out in plain sight, doors unlocked, and people are going through. Sometimes they see things. Sometimes they're just rummaging through the glove box to see if there's anything in, looking under the seat. In addition to that, in the same neighborhood, in one of the neighborhoods, we had a stolen vehicle where the door was unlocked and the keys were left in the car. This is totally a preventable crime if people just take a few moments to secure their belongings, remove their belongings from the car. If you can't remove them, secure them in the trunk, out of sight, out of mind, and secure your vehicle. With that, though, we obviously, what we try to do, most of these occurred in the overnight hours, okay? The report typically was between when I went to bed around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and I woke up the next morning and I noticed it. So the vast majorities were in these time frame. With these, again, 86% of them are to unlock cars. This is totally preventable by securing your vehicle, securing your belongings. With that, the officers are out. They are out in your neighborhoods patrolling, but it's occurred all over the community. It was in every beat this past 3 days. It was just a rash that we had during that time period. We do have some suspect information on a few of them. We did make 5 arrests, but that's not everybody. We can't say they're all related, they're all unrelated. We don't know. We're still trying to investigate it. But what we are doing is asking the community, take a few moments, remove your belongings. If you can't get them out of the vehicle, at least secure them out of sight, preferably in the trunk. Lock your doors. In the same area where some of these occurred at, where we had the stolen vehicle, we also had a house burglarized because at 1:30 in the morning they left their door open, their garage door open, and the door to their house was unlocked. Okay, so somebody came in. So we have to take some common sense approaches to this by trying to secure it. What we've tried to do is obviously get our officers out in patrol at night, look at some things, look at people who are out and about who are acting suspicious. Just because they're walking down the street doesn't mean they're suspicious, but maybe if we get some information, people peeking in cars, people call and say, hey, I saw a couple guys up around a car or a couple kids around a car. we can take some enforcement action. We can hopefully find those people. Maybe it's a curfew violation, et cetera. We put out what we call some unmarked cars in those same areas patrolling. But again, it's happening all over the city. It's not concentrated in one area. So, the one night we did put an officer out. After the first night, we put an officer out in an unmarked car. Unfortunately, he wasn't in the area that was getting hit at the right time. It's kind of the guessing game because it's going all over the city. You try to go off what happened the night before, off the intelligence. Okay, this area got hit last night. Let's put a car in that area. Well, they didn't hit there last night. They hit the following area. So again, we just need the community's help to report suspicious activity. If you see something, call it in. Let us at least come check it out. It may be some kids who are just enjoying summer and they're heading home. It may be some adults that are maybe riding a bike to work or something. Again, we did make 5 arrests, but we don't believe we've solved all those crimes. We don't believe that we've gotten everybody who's responsible. In addition to that, we had 8 criminal damages to vehicles where people broke windows, okay, and didn't even get into the car, or it doesn't appear they got in the car and took anything. We believe that's probably a juvenile issue where they're breaking out windows. Some community members have come forward, and we do have a couple suspects. We are looking at that. But again, I don't want to go too much into those cases and reveal what we got going on. But what we need is just people to remember, secure your belongings, secure your vehicles, secure your houses, secure your garages when you're out and about, especially in the overnight hours or any time of day. It can happen any time of the day. When these numbers come in, it's frustrating. People realize, hey, it's still my car. They shouldn't go into it. But we know that's not the reality that we face in our community.
Alderman Tyler?
Yeah. I know that you guys have been dealing with this issue for almost a year now. It's one of those things that, like you said, we put somebody here and they're over there. And it is citywide. A lot of times, sometimes I go to neighborhood meetings and they think that, it's only happening on the west side or it's only happening in this neighborhood. And the thing that everybody needs to understand is this is happening from the lake all the way out to the far north. It's happening all the way over to Piper Glen. It's everywhere. They're picking a neighborhood. They're walking through it. Sometimes, I think the way that the neighborhood police officers explained it, these kids get dropped off and they have to walk their way back to where they're from. And they're just purposely going through neighborhood to neighborhood as they go. And some of the things that Officer Kathy Martin, who's the neighborhood police officer for Beat 700, had brought up at a neighborhood meeting for Knox Knolls here recently was people need to be not just don't leave the keys to that car, but they left the key to the car parked right next to them. Their husband's truck key was in this lady's car, and then that's how they got the truck. They left the garage door opener. That's how they got the garage open and got in. They take the garage door opener and they come back later. All these things people just need to be aware. Like you said, it just takes a second to make sure that your car's locked. And even just because you locked it when you shut the door, that doesn't mean that you didn't catch the seatbelt in the door when you shut it. Make sure it's actually closed. That's one of the things that happened to someone else. I always lock my car. My car was locked, but they had the door open. Well, it turns out it hit the seatbelt and didn't close. This is rampant. It's not 5 kids doing it. It's not 20 kids doing it. It's anywhere up to 50 individuals at this point that they think may be involved. So if you see something at 4 o'clock in the morning, a lot of the paper carriers are seeing things. The problem is that a couple of them called and left messages on the neighborhood police officer's phone instead of calling dispatch. And if that officer's not on duty at that moment, they're not going to answer that phone. So you guys have to make sure you're calling dispatch 788-8311 and then report what's going on so they can issue someone over there. The other thing is that, how do I say this?
Careful.
People have to remember that the cops aren't right 2 blocks away. They have a whole city to patrol. When you call for dispatch, it may take a few minutes for them to get there. Whatever descriptions you can give, picture from your cell phone, anything is helpful. And the other thing I've noticed here lately is that people are posting videos on Facebook from their personal cameras that they have aimed at their driveways and other things. If you guys aren't sharing those with the police department, then it's not doing you any good. You need to make sure that you're calling the police department, filing the police report so they at least know that there was an incident at your location, approximate time, and if you've got the video, then they can actually use that to work toward an end. But just posting them online and saying that these people were in your neighborhood isn't going to do it.
You're absolutely right. We ask the public for your cooperation. And with that, if you have private security and you know that your neighbor's area has been hit or your neighborhood's been hit, go back and look at your security cameras if you could. If you find something suspicious, call us. We want that video. They may have been scouting your car or something, got scared off, and went down 4 doors down. And that may be the lead we need or the break we need to get to some of these. And some people have shared some cameras. Not, you know. And in addition to that, I want to say that we don't believe all of these are juveniles. We believe a lot of them are juveniles, but adults are involved in these too. So we don't want to sit here and say it's always a kid. That's not true. That's not accurate. But with that said, an ounce of prevention is worth a lot. And everybody working together on this report suspicious activity, let us know, you know. And with these, we do see a spike of these sometimes in the summer anyway when kids are out of school, they're out and they've got a little more free time, a little more boredom. But again, it's not always kids. It's adults too. A few months ago, my neighborhood got hit bad. I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning to people banging on the door. Eight of my neighbors got hit. And they're like, did you get hit? I'm like, were all your cars unlocked? Yeah. Okay. It doesn't okay it. It doesn't make it right. But if you take a few minutes to prevent this, and again, don't leave any valuables out. They'll break your window for your purse. They'll break your window for your cell phone sitting there, okay? Just don't do it. You know, you may brought up another good point. Burglaries to motor vehicles lead to other crimes. Garage door openers. If you leave your car unlocked and your garage door opener's in there, there's a good chance your garage door opener will be gone and you won't even notice it until the next time you go to open your garage and your house gets burglarized while you're gone. Lock your doors. Secure your garage door holder or garage door openers, etc. Report any suspicious activity you have. If you see something that doesn't look right, you live in the neighborhood. You know what's normal. You know who's normal, and it could be somebody from your neighborhood. Don't rule that out. You know, a lot of times people commit crimes close to home. Friends will come over and we decide we're going to go out and do some stupid stuff, and it could be people from your own neighborhood. So again, if you see something that looks out of place, trust your gut and give us a call.
As long as we're on the conversation, there was something that happened today in Ward 6 that someone did see something and they did say something and they even saw a police car parked very close to the incident. There was a car that kept circling the block, making frequent stops. People would come up to the car, an exchange was made, the car would drive off, they do another lap around the block. And this person went and talked to the police and said, hey, here's the license plate number. This is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing it frequently. What can we do? She called the police herself. No one came out. The police that were sitting there didn't address the person in the vehicle. So it's frustrating. I know how tough your job is. But when citizens are seeing something and are saying something and not seeing a result, it's making their heads blow up.
I agree, and I'll be more than happy to get that information from you afterwards, and we'll look into that.
Thank you.
With that said, when you see something, and what you're describing could possibly, not saying it is, could possibly be some type of drug transaction based on my experience, could easily be that. We still have to find a viable excuse to stop the vehicle, and then a viable excuse, or reason, I shouldn't say excuse, reason to conduct a search of that vehicle, whether it's through consent or whether it's through something else. Okay, so a lot of times what we do is we take that intelligence and we'll run that intelligence through different sources that we use to try to develop a case. You may not see the result right then and there. It may be something that goes on later on, and we follow it up later on. It may be tied to something else. We don't always tell you why we're in the neighborhood. We may be in the neighborhood for a certain reason, and there may be somebody else that's in the neighborhood you're not aware of that's doing something for us. So, I mean, don't want to get into specifics, but they could have been witnessing something that...
And I understand that. It's just, it's frustrating for the resident who, when they call the police and then the police don't come.
Right. We come to, and that's something I wanted to speak. We come to every call. There's never a call we don't come to. If we're not going to come and send a car out, they're going to tell you that on the phone. Dispatch is going to tell you, we're going to forward you to the front desk where you can make a report. We come to every call. It may be an extended delay, depending on what type of call it is. It may be an hour. But we will come. If you want the officer to meet with you, you need to tell dispatch when they ask for your name or your phone number to give it to them so they can follow up. And they're going to ask you, do you want to meet with an officer? You can always say, I don't need to meet with the officer, but could you have him call me and let me know what happened out of it? That's something as simple as that. Okay, but we come to every call.
You have to prioritize. Alderman Proctor?
Yeah, just really quick on this. I had a discussion with somebody at work about this, and they said, I'd rather leave my door unlocked rather than break my window. Do you have anything to say that I can report back to them on that?
Here's what I would say to anybody. I lock my doors all the time. Most people lock their doors. If you don't leave anything valuable, it's an opportunity to steal or something that's going to entice somebody to break your window. Why would they break your window? Occasionally, you do have kids who go out or people go out and do criminal damage, but that is a very, very rare incident. Rare incidents. We did have 8 of those over the weekend, but those are very rare. That's typically not what happens.
Just don't leave anything in your car. We're taking, I guess.
I'll report that back. Thanks.
If you leave your laptop on the front seat and you lock your door, you might get your window broken until you get your laptop taken.
But the garage door is very important.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for the chief?
No, thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate all the efforts.
We are working on a PSA with communications to get that out. We did some educational stuff that we put out, but we are also working on a PSA that we'll be playing on our internet, social media, et cetera, as well as public
That
access.
would be appreciated. Share. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other unfinished business? There's 2 events that we've discussed previously. One was the Illinois Mission of Mercy, which is the Dental Society's foundation. They're going to do the free dental care at the Bank of Springfield Center this Friday and Saturday. I don't know, Juan, you want to add anything to that, but I'm not sure if they still need volunteers, but you can go to their website, I believe, or just go to the city's website, springfield.il.us. But it starts at 6 in the morning on Friday, and we really appreciate it. These are dentists from across the state that are coming here providing free service for those uninsured individuals and underinsured.
You sure he's not your brother?
I don't know, come up here and we can, let's see if,
No, that's all right.
you missed all that.
Juan Langfelder.
As you know, all my brothers and sisters begin with the letter J, but we do not have a Juan. Just for the record.
That makes it even more suspect.
First of all, I'm better looking.
How do you spell your name?
I want to make that clear.
Hey, please spell your name.
Make sure you get that.
Please spell your name for us.
Anyway, the Dental Association, they're still needing volunteers, but they got quite a bit. They have a lot of dentists from all over the United States, and there's going to be a great event. So if you're free, stop by and help in any way you can.
I heard it on the radio too, Mayor. They're spreading it around on public media, so pretty good.
Yeah, and you don't need an appointment. You just come in. It's first come, first serve. Veterans are served first. They have their own area, but the website is www.isdsfoundation.org. Once again, that's isdsfoundation.org. And the other one is Saturday at 10:30 is the Kidseum long-awaited ribbon cutting, or 10 o'clock on Saturday. So hopefully you'll come downtown right across from Cafe Moxo for that great event. Is there any new business come before the City Council? Alderman Proctor.
You took my other one there. I wanted to talk about Kidseum. That's okay.
Oh, well.
I just want to say thanks for everyone who came for the Benedictine Community Engagement Forum we had yesterday. Thank you, Mayor, for coming. Thank you, Alderman DeCenzo, and then thank you also, Valiezel, for coming and presenting too. It's just, it was a great meeting with the community neighbors. The university president was there, and so it just starts the dialogue for the community and the neighbors to have input on the future of the campus and any future developers that come through, and so that they know what to expect, that the neighborhood will be watching. So.
Great. Any other new business? The Lincoln Library, I don't know, Will, if you want to talk about the blood drive or you want me to just do the announcement? Yeah, for Friday, July 20th from noon to 3 at the Lincoln Library. And you can, if you want to register online and pick a time, it's bloodcenterimpact.org. Otherwise, you can come to the circulation desk and sign up for a time or come in and they'll get to you as soon as possible. And then the other item is the American Political Items Collectors Convention at the Crowne Plaza for all you politicals. They'll have memorabilia from previous elections, and that is at the Crowne Plaza on Saturday and Sunday. And if you have memorabilia that you would like to have appraised, they will be doing that during the day on Saturday and Sunday. So any other new business? Anybody wish to address the City Council? I think we do have Robert Hamilton signed up. Anybody from the audience wish to address the City Council?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Yay. We are adjourned. Thank you.
I almost called you that.
Oh, well, I've heard the speech from 3 different NPOs, and oh my God, Christmas! I'm trying to remind you to put all those boxes at the curb. Yeah. Well, I need to go catch the chief because